sorry, the number you have dialed is not in service at this time.
Even though I'm working part-time now, I still find that I need a planner for my office. And so I went looking for a planner for 2018, and I couldn't find anything that I really liked and that had all of the things that I wanted to have in my journal. So what I decided to do was make a magazine journal for the office. And so it's a little bit different than my daily journal, and I thought I'd show you what I did. This is my cover, and it came from the Vintage Treasures that I got at Walmart. I showed this in a couple videos ago, and I really like this paper. It's extremely thin, so I did mount it directly to my magazine, but on the inside cover I actually put a piece of cardstock to make it a little firmer. So this is the front, and this is the back of my journal. So I basically took the sheet of paper and wrapped it around the back and then butted another piece of scrapbook paper right up to this and then laid a piece of washi tape down. I've shown you how I've done my covers in the past, and I did this one the exact same way. And I will link down below the video where I show you how I do my covers. Just so you can see what this looks like before it's in the journal. This is what it was. Looked just like that. So I didn't use the whole image, but most of the image. The magazine I'm using is a Fast Company, and it is glued, not stapled. And if you've watched my REBOOT, How to Make a Magazine Journal, you'll understand what I mean. You want to make sure you use a glued magazine and not a stapled one. So when we go inside, what I did was put my monthly accomplishments, because for performance reviews, I want to be able to write down what I've done. And I also have monthly reports that I have to do. So I just put the months here on each side, and what I'll do is just quickly write a few things of my monthly accomplishments so that I can keep those in mind when we start going into the year and doing our performance reviews. I used washi tape just like I did in my normal journal. I was trying to keep it somewhat professional, that I wouldn't be embarrassed to take this to a meeting, but also I needed to have a little spice just for me. I spend a large part of my day on the phone and in conference calls and in meetings. So when I'm in conference calls on the phone, I'm really just writing or listening. So keep that in mind when I show you the rest of this. So the next page, when you open this up, I have a calendar for 2018 because I'm always needing to look at that. And then I have the January calendar. And this is more for reference than anything. I use my phone and my computer to track my meetings, so I wouldn't necessarily be writing meetings on here. I might write a few important things, but it's more just to look at. Now, this is a download which I'll link below. I did not create the January calendar. All I did was just decorate it a bit. But there's a whole, I'll show you, here's January and February. These are really cute calendars. And if you go on Pinterest, there's quite a few that you can choose from. But I liked the way these looked. They were in the right format, which was portrait. So they'd fit, you know, real easily into my magazine journal. So I thought these were really cute, and I knew that I could just dress them up a bit. So I will leave the link for this in the description box for you. So again, I just added a few things. You guys saw this on my Instagram post and Facebook page, and this was a download as part of the Mischief Circus Crowabout Studios, and I really like this. It's called a Primitive Christmas, and I just dressed him up. This was a jingle bell, and I just cut it in half and made him a hat, gave him some hair. And I thought he turned out pretty cute. Did some doodling on his legs. So then my weeks look like this. Again, because I use my calendar on my computer and my phone, I don't really need a calendar. So what I liked about this was I can put the date and things that I might want to accomplish on the days that I work, which are Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and anything else I might want to remember. But this is what I really needed, was a blank page where I can make notes, either from a meeting or something, a conversation I had, or something I need to remember. And so what I did was take the grid from the date grid strip and just use the grid paper, so I didn't have a blank sheet. I'd have something there, and it just gave it a little something on the page, so I won't have that white page fear. And it's worked out really well. Again, I put washi tape on the edges and down the center. And then this is the next week. And every once in a while I decided I was going to put something just a little bit fun and quirky in my calendar just to keep me interested. So I had this little image and I put that in there, and I think it's just enough to brighten my day. So what I did was just count the weeks that I needed going towards February, and you'll see that there's some rippling here in the page, and I don't worry about that. My page is secure, and when I write on this, you won't even notice it. So if that happens to you, just don't worry about it. It's just my glue I didn't put it down evenly. And then here's another one where I just put another one from the kit, and I just stuck him down for January. And this is the last week in January. And then I go into February. And I'm not going to go much further than February. I'll put these in as I go along. But again, I put another 2018 calendar. And then here was February, and I just added some things that I liked. That little dude and a stamping, and then this creature, I guess. I thought it was cute, so I just put those on there. And then again, here I go with the week, and I'll just count it out, and then I'll put March, so on and so forth. So that's basically what I'm doing to use this in the office. And then on the back page, I created, because I'm on the phone so much, a doodle area. And so I just wrote doodle here and here, and I started doodling around the edge just to get me going. So I've got lots of places I can do the border doodle. And I added him just to, again, to avoid that white page syndrome. And this is where I can just have fun while I'm on the phone, because I do find, and you may know this too, if I'm doodling while I'm listening, I actually comprehend more. I'd heard that before, and I didn't know if I actually believed it, but it's true. I really pay attention much better when I'm doodling. So I've got an area here in my journal that I can doodle. So that's my journal that I'm going to be using for 2018 while I'm in the office. And I will have a separate journal for my home and memory keeping. But this is really just a record. I think it looks, you know, professional on the outside and kind of party-like on the inside, which is perfect for me. And throughout the year, I'll just keep updating this. And I'll probably share it with you as well, just so you can see how it's coming along. So just let me give you the highlights on how I made this. So the first thing I did was find a magazine that I thought would work. And for me, it was important that I had something that was just about the right amount of pages. I didn't want to have to spend time taking pages out. So, for example, this Oprah, I think, is 111 pages. And that would be a good amount, given that there's 52 weeks. So that would be 104. So that gives me a few extra pages I could use as doodle pages, pages up front, anything that you might want to add. This also is a glued magazine, not stapled. I just can't even say that enough. And one of the first things I did, because this is 111 pages, I'm going to go to the center, and I am going to reinforce it. Now, I am still going to use the Tyvek, but because I want to be sure, and I think that's close enough to center. And if you, you know, just kind of guess if you can, if there's not page numbers. There's no page numbers right along in here. But really, just to make sure that this is nice and secure, I am going to just do a 3-hole pamphlet stitch. And it really doesn't take very long, right, Denise? It's worth it. You'll have a secure journal. Now, I showed you before in the one of the last videos how to do this, but you just want to open it up to your center and make sure that your magazine is open without really busting open that spine, because you don't want to do that. And then you want to take an awl and you want to punch 3 holes. And so I go about 1/2 inch to 3/4 of an inch down. You don't have to be exact, just go straight down and punch a hole. And go straight down and punch a hole. And then go estimate in the center like that and punch a hole. And then you can get rid of your book that you're going to use. Ooh, look, I went right through. I punched a little too hard. Okay, and then you're going to need some kind of twine to secure it. And I'm just using waxed linen. You need about 3 lengths of the magazine. And I'm going to go right in the center and come out right there. Boy, I didn't go right. I didn't get that center very well, but it really doesn't matter because this is not going to show. And you want to leave a little bit so you can tie it off. Then either go up or down. It really doesn't matter which direction you go. Go right in there. And then you want to make sure that you pull in the direction that you're going to sew. So I'm going to go this all the way to the bottom of my magazine and go straight through, and I come right out. So let me show you here. So you can see it's right along here, and I'm going to flip this over and pull the direction I'm going so it's nice and taut, and then go right back into that center hole and come out. And you want to make sure that you come out, and you can actually do it after, but you want to make sure you come out on the other side of that thread, because you're going to tie a double knot on that thread with that other piece right here. So go ahead and just pull that through. You can see I had plenty. And it's nice and taut along here, and it's taut in here. And then tie a double knot, right over left and left over right. And then you can go ahead and do your reinforcement also. So that stays down very nicely in the crease of that. And then go ahead and you can use your Tyvek or whatever you normally use to reinforce your magazines. And that's nice and secure. So I reinforce the center. I reinforce the first page. Here I would probably just glue this down. It would make your cover nice and secure. And then reinforce your back page. And then finally you want to reinforce your spine. And you should be good to go. And that would take care of that. Then the other thing I did since I started filming was I decided I wanted tabs with the date on it. So I have some dies that I've had for a while. I don't even know where they came from that I used. I used this one, and I just cut them out with cardstock. And then I just hand wrote the dates. And because I don't have March, April, May, the rest of them in here yet, I can't really put those in, but I will put those in as we go along. I didn't laminate them or anything because it's not going to get that kind of use. But I just stapled them on. If you had a tiny attacher, this would be a good way. I just have a little stapler that I use, and it worked fine to glue, put those on without actually gluing them on. So I think that's going to work out great, and I like the way they turned out with that colored cardstock. So I just used those and put those on. If you want to use the 2018 calendar, again, I'll have a link for you. And I just put that right down the other side of this, because there would be a plain sheet in there, and just glue it down. This size magazine, I'm very lucky in that I really don't have any trimming with the exception of about a 1/4 inch at the bottom. It fits perfectly. And the same thing with the calendars. And then I use this to figure out my weeks, so I can see that I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 weeks in January, so I know that I'm going to need 5 weeks of gluing, putting these in before I get to February, and then so on and so forth. So it's really super simple to do. The one thing I'm going to tell you about, and I don't know why it took me so long, in all of my videos I've shown you actually I glue this like here and then put it down. Well, it's much easier and much faster to just go ahead and glue on your page. So put your glue down and then put your paper down. It's so much easier. So anyway, that's just a little tip. And then on the doodle page, this was just plain white paper, and I just glued it down. And you guys can figure out how to do that without any problem at all. So that's it. If you have any questions, just leave me a message down below, and I'll be happy to help you. I did round my corners just like I do in my journal because I like to do that. And right along here, I used clear Scotch tape just to reinforce that edge because I didn't want to use washi tape on it. And it gives it a nice edge, and it will help secure that. So that's it. Be sure to open up the Show More box, and you'll find the links for everything. And again, questions, leave them down below. I love to hear your comments. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you on the next video. Bye for now.